Hi, Joyce. How are you?
Doing
Thank you.
fine.
Thank you again so much for allowing me the opportunity to talk about some of these things we created. And yeah, Grand Funk Railroad was an amazing group, and I never really, I was aware of them in college, and for me, like the biggest thing that really drew me to them was "I'm Your Captain" from the Closer to Home album, because it was an amazing song, and it was the crazy times, and in fact, the first concert when I moved to New York, in 1969, the first concert I ever went to there was just a few months after we got there, and it was at the Fillmore East, and it was Grand Funk Railroad, and PG&E opened up for them, and it was an incredible concert. It was so good we went back the next night, went 2 nights in a row, and then less than a couple years, about a year and a half later, I'm working with Terry Knight and Don and everybody, Mark. I mean, it was just an incredible opportunity, surrealistic for me. And the first opportunity that I had to work with Terry and them was on the E Pluribus Funk album. I did the 3 line drawings of the portraits that you see over here. I always get mixed up, camera left, camera right. Over here, these 3 line drawings, I worked from photographs and did line drawings of each one of them. And then I spent 2 weeks every day going to New Jersey with this guy who was, I don't know, he must have been about 100 years old. And he had all these dental tools, and we made the master plates. The same way you would make a master recording for a record, and then they'd press it from that master. We did the same thing with embossing dies. You needed a male and a female to make the impression, to raise it up off the surface and drop areas down. It's embossing and debossing. So I spent 2 weeks with this guy every day, noodling these master plates that he had a one-up press that he would take over, and he had the stock. We had the foil stock that we were going to be doing the album on, and he would put it in on this one-up press, and he would press it, and then we would see if something wasn't coming out enough or wasn't going in deep enough, and then you couldn't go too deep, because when you emboss something, it shrinks whatever you're embossing. It pulls it together because you're raising things above the surface. So E Pluribus Funk was exactly that. We did a front die and a back die. Each one took about a week to do. And again, just from line drawings I did, he etched them the same way somebody would etch a plate for printing money. You see those movies where they're working on the plates to counterfeit, and it's very intricate, all that little line work, and it's all cut into a metal plate. And from those 2 masters, they would make, because an embossing plate only lasts about anywhere between 20 and 25,000 impressions. So they had to have more than one set to make the embossing complete. So that was kind of an interesting thing that we did on that. And then, and that album was when they were with Terry Knight, their manager. He also produced them. And I got a chance to meet him and work with him. Did a couple other things for him. He had a limousine service that I did a bunch of advertising for and stuff. And then I came out to California to open up the satellite office for the company I was working for. And they had left. They had a big falling out with Terry Knight. And, you hear about it in Billboard, and the disc jockeys maybe are talking about it because that was kind of interesting in those days. And Grand Funk was a big group. I mean, they were really something. And like you said, they defied all the critics. They were, and I got to tell you, Don and Mark, were the most incredible people. We spent 2 days with them in Flint, Michigan at Mark's Ranch, and we almost burned down a hotel room that we rented to shoot the back cover because he didn't want to do it on his ranch. So we went to this like Motel 6 or whatever it was. We rented a room, and we had this whole setup where we're going to create the flames, and we had them in the background, and we almost burned the room down. It got out of control. Anyway, because we were partying too hard. We had been partying the day and night before, and then we decided we were going to shoot this thing at the hotel room, and it was kind of crazy. But anyway, that's another story. And so that they reached out to us after they had left Terry Knight, and they they were in LA, and I met with Mark, and he shared some of the songs, and really more than anything, the reason why Phoenix was the name of the album, because they felt that they were like the Phoenix rising up from the ashes of what had been created before this. And this was a whole new Grand Funk Railroad. And, for me, it was a no-brainer. We cut that Phoenix you see there, we cut that out of illustration board. Joe Garnett painted it. And then we strung it up underneath the photographer had a 2-story house, and he had this stairway that was the platform, and then the steps went down. And so we put it underneath the platform of the staircase, and we had this trough, and we poured gasoline in it and lit it on fire. And the nylon cord that we had the bird suspended on broke, and it swung over. Luckily, it didn't go into the flames. And, we could have burned his stairway down. That was a very dangerous album, that one. E Pluribus was nowhere near that kind of danger. So anyway, they were great guys, wonderful to work with, and they're still going. God bless them. Mark Farner is amazing. He was an incredible musician and a really great friend and nice guy. And I know you're going to ask me, which song do we want to hear? And if it was going to be the Phoenix album, it would be Rock and Roll So. If it was going to be E Pluribus, it would be People That Stop the War, which seemed to be appropriate right around this time. But for me, like anything else, bring back the memories for me, Joyce. I'm Your Captain. That's the number one quintessential song for me. So thank you so much. We'll see you next week in my corner.